Hello everyone, this is Heather and I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be showing you my photo printing process, and I'm going to show you how I select my photos, edit my photos, and how I eventually print them. So here you can see on my computer, I'm just selecting the photos that I like, and they all download into folders by month, and then I put them into folders by year. So it's a convenient way to organize them by date, which is mainly how I use them anyways. So I select the ones I want by holding Control, and then I right click on the photo and click copy, and then I'm going over to my Project Life folder, which I've made a folder for April, and then I just paste them into this folder, which you can see I've already done a few. I also select photos off of my phone, and I have the iPhone 5, so I do this by going to my camera roll and hitting select, and then picking out 5 photos at a time, because that's the maximum attachment I can put in an email, and then I simply email it to myself and open it up on my computer. There are probably easier ways to do this using photo sharing systems such as Dropbox or something like that, but this is just the easiest way for me at this time because I haven't spent the time to figure those systems out. So here you can see I then go to my email on my computer and download and save these files. And I just hit download and then click OK, and it saves it automatically to my downloads folder. And so then I will be going to the folder and putting those in my Project Life folder as well. And as you might have saw, I also save them for Project Life by month, and I'm doing monthly Project Life, so this is just the easiest way for me to do it as well. So here I am in my downloads folder, and I look for those 5 photos I just saved, and then I just copy them over. And usually per month I have about 30 to 50 photos. That's pretty normal for me, just depending on how busy the month was and how many different things I did. But I try to narrow down my photo selection quite a lot. I take way more than that. So here I am showing you how I edit them now. I'm using PicMonkey, which is an online website, on my computer, and I just like to adjust the exposure as well as the color. Those are the main things I do. Sometimes I also use the rotate and crop functions here. There are also lots of other filters on PicMonkey, and I'm using the free version, so there are ads at the bottom that you can see, and I don't have access to all of the filters, but I find that the free one does everything I want it to, and it's really convenient for me. So that's just what I'm doing here, and you saw that this photo of my parents started off really dark, and I lightened it and made it a lot more visually appealing anyways. So I'm just gonna go and save that, and I like to save it at the highest quality just because the photo, I'm not sure what I'll be using it for in the future necessarily, or what size I'll use it as, and the highest quality on PicMonkey is still slightly lower than what my original photo is, so I'm not taking up a ton of extra space on my hard drive. So when I'm selecting photos, I pretty much eliminate all duplicates, and by that I don't mean I delete them, I just copy them to another folder. I have thousands of photos and I haven't deleted really any of them, and I don't know if I will ever, because who knows, I might need them. I'm a photo hoarder, but that's okay. So I think it's important to select photos that are meaningful and have a story, and they're just a photo that you like. So out of those 3 things, excuse me, I think that a photo should be at least 2 of them. And that's just a guideline. I break the rules all the time, but pretty much all of my photos either have a story, are meaningful to me, or I just like the photo. So I pick, like I said, 2 of those things. And that really helps me to narrow down my selection. So here I'm showing you again just how I would edit a food type photo. And I'm just playing with the brightness and the highlights and the contrast mainly, and bumping them up a little bit. And then I go into the colors and bump up the saturation a little bit, and depending on the photo, I like to cool the temperature or warm the temperature, usually to keep it neutral, but sometimes just, I guess, depending on what the photo is. For example, a sunset, I might warm the temperature. A wintry scene, I might cool the temperature. And then I'm just going to show you one more photo on PicMonkey so I can show you the crop function. And this is really convenient. You can select what size you want it to be cropped to and then drag the corners and it keeps that ratio. You can also move this slider if you need to rotate it just by a little bit, and it shows you at what angle you're rotating it, as I'm highlighting there. This photo is just pretty pixelated and it's not a good photo, but it's meaningful to me because I like to document just the price of gas every few months anyways. Here I'm showing you on my phone how I edit photos. Sometimes I edit my phone photos on my phone in an app, and sometimes I prefer to just do it on PicMonkey once I've emailed it to myself already. But I'll show you in a couple examples here. And I'm using A Color Story, which is the name of the app, and it's a free app and I quite like it. It's actually very similar to PicTapGo, and in some ways I like it more than PicTapGo, which is a paid app. I think it's around $2 or $3. But this one does a lot of the similar functions. So I'm going into Tools and then Adjustments, and same thing here. I adjust the brightness and the contrast as well as the saturation, and I don't use very many filters on these photos that go into my album. It really, again, depends on the photo a lot. I like this curves function because this middle dot adjusts the light colors, the top one adjusts the saturation, and the bottom one adjusts the dark shadows, which it's a easy way to do them all at once. And you can also add extra dots and just make it more versatile, I guess. It's similar to a Photoshop function. Curves anyway. Photoshop has curves is what I'm saying. So I'll just show you one more. This one is really washed out with the sun behind the subject in the photo, so I'm just using the curves again and adjusting that to make it a higher contrast so that the subject is a bit darker and more saturated, but I still have that bright background. And for this one, I do end up showing you a filter, which you'll see in a minute. But this is pretty much all that I do to edit my photos. I should mention that I don't think you have to edit photos. A lot of mine would be fine to go in an album as is. Oh, here I'm showing you some of the different filters that it comes with. You can buy extras on this app too. I don't think it's necessary to edit all your photos. I usually do now these days, just because I like the way the photos look better, but it is time consuming and it's most people's most hated part of scrapbooking. So if this is going to keep you from scrapbooking, I suggest just not doing it because it's not completely necessary. So once I have all my photos edited and saved how I want them, I go into Microsoft Word and open up a few photos at a time. I usually insert maybe 10 or so at a time just so that my program doesn't get overwhelmed, because sometimes it will crash if I go too much at once. And you can see now it takes a minute to load as well. So I've set my margins to 0.2 inches, I think, yeah, that's inches, on all 4 sides of the page. And then I just right click on each photo and select size. I think that's what it's called. Let me see another one here. Yeah, just size. And then I go in and enter in the desired width or height that I want, and it just sizes them. So it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. And I've sadly only recently discovered this. I don't know what I've been doing, but it's a good way to easily size your photos. And so usually I use page protectors that have 3x4 slots or 4x6 slots. So most of my photos will be sized either 3 inches square, 4 inches square, 3x4, or 4x6. Any of those things are common sizes for me to use. So I'm just going through all of those. This is a bit time consuming as well, and it also will take a bit longer if you have to decide what dimensions you want. I was showing you there that that one is actually sized 4.5x6 because that is the ratio that my phone takes photos at. It's actually a 3x4 ratio. So here in Word you can actually just crop them down as well, and then I just check to see how much I've cropped it by right-clicking again and clicking the size to see what it says. As you saw with that last one, it wasn't perfectly accurate, but I can always physically crop it once these are printed out. Crop it with my cutter is what I mean. So I'll show you that again. You just click crop and then drag the marks, and I need to take a 1/2 inch off the bottom or top of one of these photos, so that's just what I do. So that one is sized at 4.08, which is very close. So I'm happy with that, and I'm going to save these into my Project Life folder for April. And I just save it as a Word document, and then all I have left to do is once my photos are all in here, I will arrange them and make them fit as best on the page as I can and make it efficient. So then, as you can see, I print them all on 8.5 by 11 pages, and I just zoom out and make sure that they are all arranged how I want them to be. And that's pretty much how I do it. Once I'm done with these, you'll see that I have several pages because I think I had about 50 photos for this month, which is the high end of the range. So here they are. And I just print on glossy photo paper. You can experiment with different ones and see what works with your printer best. And I find that this is the most efficient way for me to print my photos. I just then crop them all apart and put them in my album. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope that it was helpful in some kind of way. Even if you already have a system, maybe you can get some other ideas to incorporate into your current system. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead.